Hi there! Today let's see how can we concatenate the text in Excel, which essentially means joining the text from multiple sources in one cell and converting it into text format. It's a simple operation, but there are at least 4 ways how to approach it. Let's check it out. So the first way to do it is to use the concatenation sign, which is this one. Or if you want to sound smarter on the community, Ampersand. So how does it work? You simply take one cell, you use the sign, and you use another cell. As a result, you get the combination of 2 elements. How can we make it a bit more beautiful? First of all, on top of the elements themselves, you can add additional text in your formula. For instance, let's modify the formula which we used before. You can start with a symbol, then put some spaces between the numbers, and add the second one. Now it looks a bit more beautiful. But you're not limited only to this. You can use simple text. Let's say the result is and this number. So you can have a combination of the elements in the cells and certain separate text which you can input directly into the cell. On top of this, we can use some logical operations inside. Let's take the formula from the previous example. Let's modify it a bit. We will keep the beginning of the formula as it is, and we will add one more element. We say that if this result is more than, let's say, 20, let's type great. If not, empty sign. So as you can see, by default we have the same output, but if we change this cell to 23, you will see that this element changed. And the last important element is to avoid one negative attribute, which is linked with the utilization of Ampersand. The formula kills all the formatting of the initial text. In this example we have dates and also the values in dollars. But if you simply put the combination of these 2 elements, you will get total mess. Let's see how can we make it more readable. For this we need to use the text formula. I don't want now to go into details. For this I have dedicated video on the channel. Let's imagine that we want the output to look exactly like the input with the same formatting. Okay, let's change the format of the text. First one want to look like a date, so we use this format. Let's probably add a few spaces in between. For the second number we'll also use the text formula. The format will be a bit different, so we want to see dollars. As you can see, now the formatting matches the original format. This is a tiny negative element, but unfortunately we can't avoid it. You can combine as many elements as you want in one line, and actually the only thing which limits you is the maximum length of the formula in the cell. So the maximum length of the formula in the cell is 8192 symbols. I presume that no one ever reached this limit. But let's take a look to dedicate formulas which Excel has. And the first one would be concatenate. Essentially, it does exactly the same as the simple ampersand sign, with only one exception, that you will have a formula which is easy to read. How does it work? Very simple. You start with the formula concatenate, and then you simply list all the elements using the delimiter. Essentially, it has the same functionality. You can go inside and you can change the format of the text. You can add some spaces, you can add some text, but all of this can be done in exactly the same way which we just discussed. So let's jump to the next one. The next formula is CONCAT, which is the new version of concatenate formula. Essentially, by default, it can do whatever concatenate can do. So you can also put all the elements you want using the delimiter. But there is one important addition to the standard formula. It can work with ranges. So for instance, instead of selecting one by one all the elements, you can select the range of the elements, put enter, and it will give you the output. Working with ranges can save you a lot of time, but there are a few negative sides in it. First of all, you cannot apply the formatting to each individual element of the range. You can apply it only to the whole range. And if your range contains the elements of different types, unfortunately you will need to choose only one format for all. The second negative element is that you cannot use any delimiter or add space between the elements. And if you want to address this point, let's go to the next function, which is TEXTJOIN. So the TEXTJOIN function was built exactly to work with concatenation of the ranges. It essentially has again the functionality of the formula CONCAT with 2 additional elements. First of all, it allows you to skip the empty elements in the range, and the second thing, it allows you to add a delimiter between the elements. Okay, let's see how the TEXTJOIN formula works. Let's don't put any delimiter, and also let's include the empty cells. We'll put 0 here and select the range which we want to combine. As you can see, the result is exactly the same as we saw in previous case. However, now let's add the delimiter, for instance, comma and space. As you can see now, it looks much better because all the elements are separated. However, we still have the problem with the ranges where we have empty spaces. In order to fix this, we need to change the second parameter, and instead of 0, put 1, and if we apply the formula now, you will see that all the empty elements are ignored. I hope the package of 4 functions which we discussed today will allow you to concatenate elements in the most efficient and then beautiful way. Thank you, and see you in the next one.